Whew, this is going to be a big video, y'all. There's quite a couple of designs in this video, because I just had so many fun ideas for Pokemon for the city. Honestly, I love the idea of Ostara being this fun little GTA Light area you could visit, and shopping, meeting me, getting your starter, the Steel Gym as well, and a bunch of other things I'm sure. But it's a Pokemon game, we need to populate the city with it being so big. The Pokemon you'd see in the city would be the likes of Scrum, Flipshock, Cargoon, Codalite, as well as some other older Pokemon. But I want to introduce some more city-related Pokemon to you. When I started making this Australian-based region, I wanted to avoid the Australian stereotype of everything in Australia wanting to hurt you and poison you. So I tried to avoid so many poison types. I really tried. But
I'm not strong enough.
But I guess it makes sense. We are in the city with a bunch of smog and all that, so I don't think it's too unfitting. Before we continue, I do want to thank you all for the support so far. I'm shocked that I'm at 2.5k subs and I've made partner. I hope I can continue making fun videos on Ostara and Pokemon in general. But for now, let's get a bit trashy, getting trashed. So in Australia, well, where I live anyway, we have these different kinds of bins with coloured lids to signify where to put what. Red is for normal, yellow for recycling, and green for green waste. I thought it'd be a fun idea seeing as Trubbish sort of is almost like a mimic? Well, it's a trash rabbit sort of thing, so what if we could go even further? A tactic so crafty for it to eat rubbish that it actually became a mimic. There are 3 forms for Ostara and Trubbish and Garbodor. Each has a different typing and Garbodor gains different abilities. So let's talk about Ostara and Trubbish. I worked on all the forms together as it was easier to keep consistency in their art. I wanted it to be a recognisable Australian bin, so I didn't change too much to them. I wanted it to look like Trubbish could feasibly hide inside them and stand next to normal bins and people would feed it trash. The only tell would be the side holes and Trubbish occasionally peeking its head out. So for each Trubbish, I wanted to change Trubbish itself, with a different bag colour and different arms. In terms of typing, I wanted the normal bin Trubbish to get this, be normal type, like as if its body lost a lot of extra poison from having the trash be separate. Of course, green waste would be grass type and recycle was steel because you kind of put various sort of metals in there, and cardboards make a funny opposite for a steel type. Trubbish, the trash bin Pokemon. A normal and poison type in its normal form, a poison and steel type in its recycle form, and a poison and grass type in its green waste form. The sorting of trash into various types of bins in Ostara has led to Trubbish entering these bins and becoming large enough to take over the entire inside. Strangely, they now have a control over the bin and its movement. They'll sit motionless next to other bins waiting for people to throw trash in, which it will then happily eat. Each form has a different favourite type of trash to eat. Because of the varied makeup between each of the forms, the type of evolution they undergo is similar yet wildly varied. We all grow up, but this version of Garbodor simply outgrew the trash it lives in. It's a bit too attached to the trash bin itself though, but that's okay. It's now friendlier and loves to help waste disposal services by eating its favourite forms of trash. Each of them would be connected by the bins they wear as sort of hats or eye patches. I love thinking about it having a shocked animation in the game where the bin lifts up to show its cute shocked expression. Anyway, let's start with normal form. Normal form was based on the idea of kind of soldiers and scouts. It's sort of a dutiful Pokemon. But unlike normal Garbodor, it doesn't have the trash bag anymore, and wears it sort of like a necktie. It isn't too different from normal Garbodor, but it's missing the metal pieces because that's recycling form's job. I know, he's cuter than normal Garbodor, I think. Green Waste Garbodor was my favourite to do. It has big swamp monster sort of energy going for it. I actually forgot to give it any of the previous waste bags on, so I gave this almost scout tie on the vine. It has a pretty chill expression compared to the other two because of the green. All in all, for a trash Pokemon, he's looking pretty fresh. Even the berries on him do, but I imagine that it sort of reeks, like, real bad. But I'd still hug them and thank them for their services. I know I wanted recycling to be a box fort creature. I didn't want it to look too angular, as if it was, like, a little melted and scrumpled up from water and other things. I loved the cardboard and steel arm that the Trubbish had, so I kept them the same but switched their places. I added the heart-shaped part to the box because I know it was cute. I want that vibe of almost, like, you know, that cardboard Digimon? A Mechamon, I think it's called. All in all, this one is actually the most Garbodor because underneath all that cardboard is probably a very similar to Unova Garbodor looking one. It's right, you can call these designs trash all you'd like, you'd be right. Garbodor, the trash heap Pokemon. A poison and normal type in its normal form, a poison and steel type in its recycling form, and a poison and grass type in its green waste form. Garbodor no longer fits into the bin it once cherished as a Trubbish. It now wears it as a symbol of power and will get upset if the bin gets broken or lost. Unlike its Unovan counterpart, it is much friendly and will help waste disposal companies with glee. It will still only eat its preferred form of trash, however. The normal form is much less toxic and virulent than other forms due to sorting of trash, but the smell it gives off is still overpowering. It's been found that some love to wear air fresheners to be more approachable. The recycled form of Garbodor covers its body in recycled trash. If it falls apart due to rain or damage, it will scramble to find more. It can move any part attached to it using the dark slime that comes from its body. It's highly poisonous. The green waste form actually can be pure grass if the Trubbish contains fresh enough green waste. It eventually spoils, however, and becomes part poison type, no matter what. In its normal form, its abilities are both stench and gooey. In recycling form, it has battle armor and anger shell. And in its green waste form, it has leaf guard and harvest. So we have our trashy Pokemon, gotta love them, but we aren't done with trash at all. Have you ever heard of the legendary bin chickens? If you haven't, they're just ibises. Ibises used to live in wetlands in Australia as these glorious animals, and then we came in and built over them. And so they all thought, these guys' trash is pretty tasty, so we'll just chill here. But my GF and I made a great concept for a bin chicken line with a pretty fun gimmick. So first let's cover iBin. I started with the iconic beak. I knew I wanted it to be covered in a sticky goo that sort of worked like a trash attractor, very much like G-Max Garbodor in that sense. I love the idea of this drop of goop running off the beak and would give it such a fun dynamic 3D model. For colours, I actually started much brighter than I wanted. I thought if it's supposed to be this dark sort of dreary version of an Ibis, the first Evo should probably be a darker colour scheme. And with a potion, a revive and a big mushroom stuck in there, it was complete. Ibin, the Ibis Pokemon, a poison type. A long time ago, before humans created the cities of Ostara, Ibin were different. But as their wetlands were built over, they started to raid bins and attack Trubbish for food, and eventually became the Ibin we see today. They will store objects and food they want later in their sticky goop that trickles down their body. Sometimes they will randomly get objects stuck to them. This, however, seems to be towards a certain purpose for Ibin. Perhaps they are trying to clean up their environment. Ibin evolves once it has picked up 30 items with the pickup ability and is level 32. And then Ibin evolves into... wait, the silhouette looks exactly the same? So you know how Finizen evolves into Palafin?
I don't know what I expected.
This is the same situation. It looks very similar to Ibis, but it has a much goopier and longer trash cloak. Its eyes also look a tad different, and boy is it just covered in trash all over. What makes Cybus special is its ability, which we'll go over now with its powerful new form. And don't worry, Cybus would learn Rain Dance and other water type moves to take advantage of its ability. But you'd be very predictable when you do it. Cybus, cloaked form. The Ibis Pokemon, a poison and psychic type. A strange evolution, Cybus seems almost too similar to Ibis, however much more covered in a disgusting goop. Cybus, however, seems to use this to cover itself in trash. Once it's covered itself in enough trash, it activates some kind of latent power that comes from water in the environment, or even other Pokemon's moves. This purges Cybus of all the trash, destroying it immediately, and transforming Cybus into a temporary powerful form. Cybus is surprisingly a great protector of the environment, especially marshlands. Cybus has the ability Wetland Warrior, which the user transforms while in rain, hit by, or has used a water type move. The transformation lasts till the end of that battle. I didn't want Uncloaked Cybus to be a superhero like how Palafin is, but more of one of those super chill gurus or a kung fu master almost. It has ascended. The main idea was it's sort of embodied of its environment. Its wings have a sort of vine or leaf pattern to it, and behind its head is sort of like a morning sun rising. It's supposed to look kind of goofy, but underestimates power and you'll be sorry. It's a weird little thing, but I find its legs and feet of this form to be super satisfying. I kept the colours very similar to normal Ibises, but I made it lighter than Ibis to signify it's hopeful and powerful and bright. And yes, it's got the bird Pokemon one wing out pose. All in all, I'm really satisfied with this line. Cybus, awakened form. The Ibis Pokemon, a grass and psychic type. It is a rare sight to see an uncloaked Cybus, usually hiding away in hidden parts of swamps, playing the part of caretakers. They use their psychic powers to control plant life, regenerating and using them to help the environment. It is a naturally calm Pokemon unless you disturb the environment, in which it will launch a full-scale assault on whatever is causing the issue. Once it is ready, it cloaks itself in sticky goop, ready to clean another part of the environment. Its ability is Caretaker. The user cleans up any hazards or terrain upon switching in or transforming. The user takes the effects of the hazards first, however, if it's switched in. I am not a fan of magpies. They're too smart and they all want to swoop me. But they're integral to Australia, and hey, I'm sure we have all loved watching videos of those people being chased by magpies screaming. So yeah, magpie Pokemon, but we have to start out simple. I wanted to have a bike helmet on as sort of foreshadowing for its theme, but it has this sort of anti-magpie thing going on that we do here on our helmets. The sketch started out so silly, but I decided to go back a little more towards a Piplup look. If you want a design to look baby, give it a big ol' head. Colours came easily, the black and whites of a magpie, and gave me the perfect opportunity to make it look like it had a diaper pattern on. Magoo, the chick Pokemon, a normal and flying type. Magoo are born into a dangerous world where its evolutions are constantly fighting in gangs against each other. To combat this and mark that Magoo are not targets, they fashion helmets made of their eggs and feathers from their parents. The helmet is exceptionally strong and will stand even a tumble from the nest or the beak from a powerful bird Pokemon. Despite its evolution's rough nature, they take care of Magoo well and will make sure no harm comes to it. I had a spot of trouble with the midform. I wanted it to look like an edgy teenager who got in with the wrong crowd, but the long neck made it look fully evolved. A squatter body and head feathers as sort of a fringe and mohawk really sold the edgelord idea that I wanted for this. I tried to keep this as sort of a transition stage. It looks like some kind of pattern is coming in from the back of its head, and the introduction of the browner feathers help connect Magoo to the final stage. Corcha, the gang Pokemon, are dark and flying type. Corcha are relentless and ruthless. They care not for who they attack as long as they protect their turf. People fashion hats similar to Magoo's shell helmet to avoid attacks from Corcha. It battles for days against enemy Corcha trying to take its home tree. This can result in fatalities within the groups, but they will not cease till one group has found total victory. Despite being the way they are, they follow the head honcho's word. It's a shame then that it usually does not care for the safety of their Corchas. So at first I was going to make the last form a bit of a thief, but I felt that was too much of a honchcrow thing, but I decided to lean much further into the biker gang idea. Its head bits connect now to make a bandana looking pattern, and the wings could fold up in a way to look like a biker jacket. It's thick and looks ready to rumble. I don't know why, but I swear I'm always making Pokemon that are against honchcrow. Guess I just don't like gangsters much. This would definitely be a Pokemon you could encounter early but would be super strong and would only attack you if you got too close to its turf. Magpie, the Magpie Pokemon, a dark and flying type. The big boss of Corcha, there can only be one Magpie in an area. And this is what leads to their massive turf wars they have. Magpie are smart Pokemon and can recognize faces. If you give a Magpie food, it will always treat you with respect and let you through its turf, even protecting you if a wild Pokemon were to attack you. Magpie seem to be relatively lazy Pokemon, using Cyclizar and even Reverooms, standing on top of them and pestering them to take it where it needs to go. This is the only time you will see Magpie together, joyriding. So we all love coffee, right? Right? Well, I know I do. A bit of context about this one. I actually made the original version of this about 2 years ago when I wanted to make Fakemon on Instagram. Boy, my style has changed a lot since then. I wanted to update this little coffee goblin to a newer style and change some things though. I wanted to give it a more curious dynamic pose as if it's on a caffeine crash. I changed the eyes a lot, but I think settled on the best one. A nondescript coffee cup on its head that drips constantly as well. I also decided to make its actual body a little less rigid if it was made of almost coffee itself. With colours I instead decided to add some darker parts to the limbs, and I think that helped a lot with the variety on the Pokemon. Typing I'm sure you've guessed Fairy, but I struggled with the second. Ground would be funny because coffee grounds, but I settled on Poison because, you know, too much coffee can be a poison to the system. This is honestly such a mood of a Pokemon, a wonderful coffee goblin, and I think the name Coffee is so good. Coffee, the caffeine Pokemon, a fairy and poison type. Records don't say what Coffee was before it was introduced to Ostara and Coffee, but it now is quite rampant, especially in Outside. Coffee will root around trash cans and will fight Trubbish and Garbodor for coffee cups. It will wear them as helmets. It will then absorb any liquid within through its skin. Coffee will go up to people drinking coffee and act cute to try and get a taste. If it doesn't get what it wants, it will snatch the cup and run away. Some Coffee have a tolerance to coffee and walk around sluggishly. Coffee have the ability Caffeinated. When this Pokemon switched in, all Pokemon in the field speeds are harshly increased, but each turn after, their speed lowers by 1 stage while this Pokemon is still on the field. Whew, that was a lot of Pokemon, but I really love making all of them. If you made it this far, thanks for checking the video out, and be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And comment down below what you think of the Pokemon of our side, and if you'd be adding any to your Starin team. Next video, I'm going to go try my hand at some older Pokemon redesigns. I'm really happy with what I've done so far, especially my Jinx redesign. It was one of the biggest Pokemon I wanted to redesign. So till next time, stay safe and happy, and thanks so much for watching.
That's my character. I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring, and then I start eating garbage.